So let's say you walk out of an interview, you're feeling cautiously optimistic, and you're wondering, did I get the job? A lot of people find themselves in job limbo, waiting for the recruiter or the hiring manager to get back to them. And in this video, I want to talk about what are the 5 different signs that you have got the job. I'll preface this by saying not every individual sign means that you got the job, but if you've noticed that they are collectively together, it's probably a good indicator that you got the job. Number 1, the interview went longer than scheduled. Now, on its own, a long interview could just mean that the hiring manager or the recruiter just wants to get to know you better. But if you find that you're going longer in the interview because they just have more questions for you, or they're more interested in you, or they just want to know more about your background from an authentic standpoint, that's a really good indicator that, first of all, they really like you. And second of all, they're trying to figure out where you could fit in the organization or how, if you were hired, what that would look like on day one. Here's some questions to think about if the interview went long. Did the interviewer ask follow-up questions about your experience or skills? Did they share more details about the company? And did they tell you how you would contribute to the overall mission of the organization? The second sign is that they actively introduce you to other team members. Now, as part of the interview process, it's not uncommon that you would interview with 3 or 4 different people on the team. But let's say you went for an in-person interview. If the person that you're interviewing with is actively taking you around the office to introduce you to potential colleagues, or things like that, or to say, hey, this is the meeting space for this thing, this is where our team sits, here's person A, here's person B. It's a really good indicator that they liked you and that they also want to make the personal connection to the rest of the team before you interview with them, or maybe just if you were going to be getting hired. But if they do introduce you to the rest of the team, or if they introduce you to some critical members on the team, it's a really good indicator that you might have got the job. So questions to think about for this are, did you actually have a chance to speak with team members, or was it just a quick, hey, this is this person and we move on? Did the team members seem welcoming, or did they give you positive feedback as you were talking with them? And did these people that you met, did they ask you about your interests, or did they ask you about your background? Did they ask you about your feelings about the role, things like that? The third sign is that the conversation turns personal. Now, typically in an interview, it's not common that they want to ask about your personal life. They don't really ask about your goals or what you want to achieve. Sometimes good interviewers will do that, but usually it doesn't become personal. They might just keep it surface level. They might say, what's your experience in this industry? What's your experience in this industry? Tell me about this part of your resume. But if you find that it's becoming personal, you're talking about your pets, you're talking about your favorite vacation spots, you're talking about different areas that you like to go, or they talk about your goals and your future aspirations, either within that company or outside, it's usually a good indicator that they like you, and it's a good indicator that they want to get to know you because you maybe got the job. And here's some questions to ask yourself if this sign applies to you. Did the interviewer initiate personal questions, or was it just something that came up naturally? And did they genuinely seem interested in getting to know you? Number 4, they talk about next steps. In interviews, it is 100% reasonable that they would give you an outline of what it would look like for next steps. So they might say something, if you're interviewing with a recruiter or you're interviewing with a hiring manager, it might say something like, you're going to be interviewing with this person next, then this person next, then this person next. And they kind of just outline maybe the time frame we're expecting to hire within the month, or we're expected to hire in the next 6 weeks, whatever that looks like. That's very common. What's not common is if they talk to you, and this has happened to me in interviews too, where they talk about the next steps and they actually kind of give you feedback as to what you should be talking about with each group. So it might be something where you talk to the hiring manager and they say, okay, well, next interview you're going to be talking with next week or the week after, you're going to be talking to person A. They really want to know about this part of your experience. And the next interview, you're talking about person B, and they want to know about this part of your experience. If you're finding that the interviewer is giving you insight into what each person is looking for, and they're actually giving you kind of a heads up of how to prepare, it's a good sign that you got the job, or that they're really advocating for you on your behalf. So the questions to ask yourself in this context are things like, did the interviewer mention what to expect after the interview? And did they provide a clear outline for when you expect to hear back? And the 5th sign that you got the job is they're excited about your ideas. If you're finding that your interviewer is asking you a lot of questions and immediately writing down your answers, or pitching you a hypothetical, how would you handle this situation? And they write down an answer very quickly, it's usually a good indicator that they, first of all, really like you and respect your ideas, but it also is a good sign that you maybe got the job, because if they are looking at your ideas and they're saying, I really like, or I'm really vibing with, or this idea is really fitting with what we're trying to do, and they're excited enough to be writing it down, or they're excited enough to be asking you your feedback on different contexts, it's a good situation and it's a good idea that you maybe got the job. Or it's a good sign that you maybe got the job, because people being excited about you and people being overly like wanting to hear from you is a good sign that they respect your intuition and they respect where you're coming from. Questions to ask yourself in this context: is the interviewer actively asking for your ideas or for your opinions? And were they receptive to your ideas once you said them? And did they find a place for those ideas to exist within the organization? Navigating a post interview world is very nerve wracking. And sometimes it's just something like a waiting game where you're like, I'm in limbo, just tell me yes or no because I want to move on with my life. So hopefully, if you've seen at least 2 or 3 of these signs in your interview process, hopefully it gives you a little more ease that you probably did get the job, or at least you're in the top contenders of who they want to interview. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight. And if you're still in the process of interviewing, check out this video I made about the 3 most common interview red flags and what to watch out for. And with that, I will see you on the next one.